post, which I normally never look at.
You're on Facebook?
I'm not on Facebook, are you kidding? And it says, this is from the server. And she's, bear with me here. If this is the right place to put it, she's talking about Facebook. If your child goes to Merritt Island High School and are in the drama club, specifically if they were at Chili's tonight after their last Hunchback of Notre Dame show, this message is for you. I was their server. I served all 30 of those kids tonight with the support of my crew. Let me just say they have restored my faith in humanity. Their bill altogether came to just below $500. And when all was said and done, these kids collectively tipped me $300. And she goes on to talk about how she's a single mom and she's struggling and she's working really hard. And she said, she just wanted the community to know that she was so overtaken that she was in tears and thanking these kids. And she said, just so you know, you raised some darn good kids. This is her quote. You work your butt off. You deserve this, is what the kids said. I was literally holding back tears. I can't thank them enough. So hats off to Merritt Island Drama Club, who did the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Well done.
Thank you, Ms. McDougall. Good stuff. Dr. Mullins?
Thank you, Mrs. Belford. I had the privilege of meeting with all of the city managers a little over a week ago and share some of the exciting initiatives that we've launched this year. Thrive by 5, which I'll talk a little bit more about tonight. We already have one of our cities that is adopting our resolution and joining us in partnership in our students to raising our community kids, our youngest, to Thrive by 5. And I met with my Employee of the Year and Teacher of the Year Superintendent ambassadors over the last about week. And every conversation I have with them, I always leave better. And just want to do a shout out to my Employee of the Year and Teacher of the Year ambassadors. You inspire me every time we get to break bread together and spend time. I learn from you, and I appreciate your tremendous service to our kids and our community. Want to add to the Edgewood shout out. This week or last week, we were notified that we have 2 of our high schools who are recognized in the Challenge Index, which is the oldest high school ranking system in the country, beginning in 1998 in both Newsweek and the Washington Post. And they rank the top 50 schools in the nation. And Edgewood Junior Senior High came in at 23, and West Shore Junior Senior High came in at 46. So congratulations to our 2 high schools. And then finally, I'll add to the shout outs of our career and technical education tours. Next week is the last 2 tours on the schedule. So next Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to be at Titusville High School. We're going to be way up north at THS, and we're going to tour the 911 Public Safety Telecommunications Program, the Culinary Arts Program, and then the new Cybersecurity Program. And then the next day, we'll go all the way to the south end of the county to Heritage High School, and we will tour the Environmental Water Program, the Advanced Manufacturing Program, and the Medical Administrative Specialist programs at that high school. So if you are a community member and that is of interest to you, and you're particularly a business that would align with one of those programs, please reach out to my office. We'd love to get you on the tour list so you can see the amazing things that are happening behind the scenes, engaging with our teachers and our students in our state-of-the-art CTE programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mullins. I have just one, hopefully quick one this evening. You all may recall that I started talking to you, goodness, I think it's been 2 years ago, about the Junior Port Ambassador Program. And have to give a huge shout out to Port Commissioner Robin Hadaway, who put the program together. It was her brainchild. She reached out to me and said, I have this thought, and can we figure out how to make it work? And so we worked together, and I worked with the school principals, getting the information out to them, and getting information to make it a doable experience for the students. So last Thursday, I was able to go to the graduation, if you will, for this year's Junior Port Ambassadors. It was, I think, 11 students from 7 of our area high schools. And it's kind of the reverse of our CTE program. So what they did was they took students from all of these high schools that are in the Port District, and the students came out to the Port once a month. And they toured all of the different job opportunities at the port and did videos about the different opportunities that are out there. And so, I mean, I think that sounds pretty cool, but when you listen to the kids talk about it, like they got to ride on the new fireboat. They weren't like just sitting in offices talking to people. They rode on the new fireboat. They met with SpaceX. They met with Space Force. They met with Coast Guard. They got to go on the Coast Guard boat. The tugs, I mean, they had so many awesome experiences while they were out there, and did just a wonderful job about, you know, the goal was to get this information into the hands of our kids and spread it among our students. And so they've been sharing their videos on social media and all of that stuff to really kind of tell people about all of the different job opportunities that are out there. And I mean, they went into detail, like this is, you know, straight out of high school, this is how much money you can make doing this job. And this is what the requirements of this job are. And, you know, here's what commercial fishing looks like. And it may not be for everybody, but somebody might want to be a commercial fisherman. And so really thanks to all of the partners out at the port that made that opportunity available to our kids. And especially to Robin Hadaway, to the parents that oftentimes hauled those students. We had a student from Titusville High School, so I know, you know, some of them made a trek to get to the port on those days. And to everyone out at the port that made it possible. I'm hoping that we will continue to see that grow. As you all may know, Commissioner Hadaway is running for state office, and so she's not going to be there next year. And I was very, very concerned that the program was going to go by the wayside, but Commissioner Michael Lloyd has said that he will continue the program once Commissioner Hadaway is gone. So looking forward to continuing to grow that and create those opportunities. And it was really a win-win. The kids were offered jobs while they were out there, like on the spot, many of them. So great opportunity. So yeah, awesome stuff.
Ms. Belford, are we considered, there are no other Space Force places in Florida. I'm almost convinced, correct? But we are the Space Force Board. Did we say we're the Space Force Board? I think we are.
That might be a stretch.
Well, listen, we have kids, we have them in our community, we have kids interning for them. I think we're part of this.
Sure.
The only
Board.
Space Force school board. I mean, seriously, start thinking about it. We launch rounds. One more
Can you get
check.
us some little patches?
One more check. I'll get
to
it.
wear
I
on
got
our-
this one from Rotary. We'll try to get one for that.
Okay.
I think we got it.
I'm all
I'm
for
telling
it.
you, Space Force Board. I like the way that sounds. Okay.
Excellent. All right. With that, we are going to be at the adoption of the agenda. Dr. Mullins.
Ms. Belford and members of the board, on this evening's agenda, we have administrative staff recommendations, 1 presentation, 23 consent items, 1 public hearing, 3 action items, and 4 information items. Changes made to the agenda since release to the public include revisions to A7, administrative staff recommendations, F19, renewal of the district's property, boiler, machinery, and terrorism sabotage insurance policies, and H37 department school initiated agreements.
What are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Susan, seconded by Ms. Campbell. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Dr. Mullins, will you please let us know about the administrative staff recommendations this evening?
Madam Chair and members of the board, there are 5 items for your consideration.
Do I hear a motion?
Second.
Moved by Ms. McDougall, seconded by Ms. Jenkins. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion passes 5-0.
Ms. Belford.
Yes,
Can I say
ma'am.
one thing about that?
Of course.
So regretfully, I have an eye on that one. We have an amazing principal at Delora Middle School that I know the staff there was in shock and devastated to hear that he will be leaving. It's for good reasons, and he's moving on to something really awesome, a really awesome opportunity for him and his family. But just a little special shout out to Mr. LeBrun to know that his staff is really sad and really going to miss him. And a lot of people up here at the district said the same as well.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. All right, the next item on the agenda is a superintendent report on early childhood education. Dr. Mullen.
Thank you, Mrs. Belford and members of the board and our audience and viewing public. As I provide the superintendent reports periodically, we've had an opportunity to celebrate our end of K-12 career students through, we saw junior achievement, and we've been celebrating career and technical education. And I wanted to also make sure that we recognize, celebrate, and acknowledge all of the programs and efforts we make with our earliest learners. So this evening, I'm going to talk for a few minutes about our early childhood programs and priorities. And it really all begins at birth, as we know. The why behind the Brevard Thrive by 5 program. We launched it almost 6 months ago, and I'll be able to provide some numbers and some update to impact. I think you're going to be excited to hear the impact we've already had in the community. But before we do that, for those who aren't familiar with Thrive by 5, it focuses on the first days of life as a young learner, because we know the first 5 years of life are critical, and in many cases, and the majority of our kids don't come to us until age 5. And we really wanted to try and connect and reach out to our families and our youngest learners as soon as possible. So we developed this Thrive by 5 program because we wanted to take advantage of the more than 1 million neural connections per second that are happening and firing in a little child, a baby's brain. Wish we could bottle that sometimes and kind of just absorb that once in a while when the neurons don't feel like they're firing as well as they used to. But and we want to make sure that every child is in a home where reading is happening every day. So we put together the Thrive by 5 program where, as the board knows, and hopefully it's growing in knowledge and momentum, that we provide every child that is born through one of the 3 major birthing centers in Brevard, either through Stewart Medical Group, Parish Hospital, or Health First Hospitals, with their first book. You might recognize Brown Bear, What Do You See? We still have our copy at home that's got teeth marks in it from our kids' youngest years, and we're now saving it for our grandkids. But you can see here that we've distributed over 2,100 bags already since November through the different medical centers across Brevard. So very exciting. Interesting note, you might recognize the gal that's in the picture with her baby. And just as a special shout out to Kathy Lott, our principal at Freedom 7, her daughter and her granddaughter are showcased here, and they went home recently with their Thrive by 5 bag. Included in the bag is also a congratulations and a card from Brevard Public Schools, wishing them well on their new journey with their new loved one. And within the bag is some printed materials, as well as you'll see there the QR code where parents can scan and go directly to our website, where we have a whole list of resources. Information on early literacy and why it's important to start early, a host of family resources, information for all ages and stages of a child's life, as well as a whole video library assisting parents through those stages of raising a young child and supporting them in their journey of literacy with their newborn. Before I move on, we talk about the next program, or the next stage of pre-K. Just want to emphasize that the Thrive by 5 program, the vision, if you will, is that every child that is born in Brevard gets the opportunity to start with a real priority of literacy in the home. And regardless of where you go, whether it's the doctor's office, the grocery store, or the dentist, you see reminders of our Thrive by 5. So I don't see any window clings out here tonight, but I'll get them after I'm done during the board meeting, and welcome our community to take them with you, put them in your store windows, and or give them to a place that you patron, so that our community knows that we support our youngest families. Our cities across Brevard County are also adopting our resolution that prioritizes early literacy, and we are moving toward the development of an app that our families can download, and if they choose, register their child, and every year we'll send them a new book to their little one as they continue to grow in literacy. So next we have our pre-K programs. I know our board is very aware of why our pre-K programs are important to our kids and our community, as you serve as the advisory board to our Head Start program. But there's some real powerful statistics here that pre-K students show a 61% improvement in letter word recognition compared to students who did not enroll in or participate in pre-K, as well as students are more than twice as likely to be ready for kindergarten compared to students who are not attending a pre-K program. And I want to emphasize that our pre-K programs are full-time and they are a diverse learning experience for our kids. Our pre-K teachers do an amazing job developing lessons and activities for our kids to be engaged that not only begin to hone their reading skills, but also their math skills and so on. And you can see that kids who participate in pre-K are more likely to go on to higher learning after high school. So we have a wide variety of pre-K programs across Brevard, actually 4 different programs. One is the Step Forward VPK program, and that starts with kiddos as early as 4 years old. We have 15 classrooms across 12 different elementary schools in Brevard with our Step Forward VPK program. We also have the Blended VPK, which is a class consisting of both VPK students and ESE students. So it's students who are identified early as having a learning disability, and we work closely with them, but they're also in a mainstream environment with non-disabled peers. And we have 16 classes of that program. And then, of course, we have our Head Start VPK. That's another 4-year-old program for families who meet the federal qualifications. And we have 19 classrooms across our elementary schools with a Head Start program. And then Head Start 3. We got little ones as young as 3 years old who also have to meet the Head Start qualifications. But we have 15 classrooms of Head Start 3. So we have 65 VPK classrooms across Brevard. So we have hundreds of the youngest and littlest learners. But that's not all of them, because we actually also have our CTE programs for early childhood development in VPK. So we've got 5 high schools that have a early childhood program where they are actually working with these littlest guys, O'Galley High School, Merritt Island, Palm Bay, Satellite, and Vieira High Schools. I had the privilege of visiting the Satellite program a couple weeks ago, actually, on one of our CTE tours. The teacher there is absolutely amazing. I sent her a letter of recognition and commendation. But I also engaged with about 4 seniors who were working in the class. And these young people were absolutely amazing. These kids are literally writing lesson plans one week, and then they're delivering the lesson plans to these 3- and 4-year-olds the next week. And I got to tell you, so there was one group delivering instruction, another group planning instruction. The planning was impressive. They had a lesson plan template that they were using as a guide. The teacher was the formal teacher was interacting and coaching them. And then we also saw the other group of kids delivering the instruction. These kids were doing like math by paint colors, and it was so creative. Every one of the kids was engaged. So when I got back to the office, I wrote a letter to all of the seniors and said, you have a job after college, come back to Brevard and teach for us. So that was a very fun time. So if you haven't caught on already, Brevard Public Schools' priority is to create a meaningful transition for children and families as they begin the journey at kindergarten, long before they come to us in kindergarten. And so we want to make sure that our kids have a positive experience on day one when they come into kindergarten, and they look forward to going to school. We talked about our student feedback surveys, and this all contributes to the culture and the environment we set at our schools, so that our kids, when they walk onto our campuses for kindergarten, some of them still for the first time, they are set on a path of steady growth in academic and social skills. And that we promote and encourage and engage early with our families of our kids to be a part of the learning and the campus. So to contribute to that and to promote that, every one of our elementary schools has a kindergarten orientation that they're going on right now. So you can see the schedule there. They've been going on for some weeks, but there's still a couple more coming up. And so board members, you are welcome to visit any one of these kindergarten orientations if you haven't already seen it. I have to tell you, it is so fun to see these little ones getting introduced to the school environment. They've got their little best outfits on, and they're just getting excited about getting to go to big school. So want to encourage all of our families. If you haven't participated in a kindergarten orientation, I promise you all you need to do is call your child's school, talk to the administration. They would love to welcome you into their school and give you a tour, give you orientation with your rising kindergartner as well. In addition, in preparation for the summer, all of our VPK students will receive a summer backpack that is packed with activities, books for them to utilize over the summer in preparation for kindergarten as well. This is the packing party that takes over this room here in just a couple weeks as we prepare to send them home with our VPK kids this summer. Here's just some fun snapshots of our kids looking forward to becoming a kindergartner, and just want to emphasize that we will continue to invest in our youngest kids because they are the future of Brevard, and we want their future to be bright and positive. And I want to thank and commend this board for prioritizing and committing resources as well as your own efforts to prioritize our youngest learners across Brevard, not just in kindergarten and not just even in VPK, but all the way to our firstborns, first day of birth kids across Brevard as well. So thank you for the opportunity to share the great work we're doing with our youngest learners. Happy to answer any questions if the board has any.
Thank you, Dr. Mullins. Any board members have questions or comments? I will just say thank you for your leadership on this effort. I know you guys have heard that I've been quite the Thrive by 5 cheerleader. Everywhere I go, I carry my Thrive by 5 bag and hand out the materials because I think it is so critically important. And you know, I think we can all just from like our heart feeling about it, we know it's the right thing to do, but I think that we also have to look at the long-term impact of that. And if students are coming into kindergarten ready, the difference that makes for their school experience. As we saw in the youth survey earlier today, the students who are performing lower academically are not as engaged in school, don't feel as safe, all of those things. And so I would say that there's certainly an impact there, but we also know that if our students aren't on grade level by 3rd grade, the chances that they're going to end up dropping out of high school is significantly higher. So having them come into kindergarten ready makes it really easy for us to ensure that they stay on grade level and making that progress instead of closing gaps at that early age. So thank you for starting them off right. I think it's going to pay off in the long run.
Well, thank you, and you're very welcome. If I may, I have to do a shout out. I don't think I gave enough kudos to our health partners, the hospitals. You know, some have asked, well, how are you paying for this? And when I first went to the CEOs at the 3 hospitals, I said, we'd love to give the gift of literacy to children when they're born, but we don't know who they are or when they come to us. But you do. Would you allow us to give you these bags to give to young families? And they said, absolutely. If you'll deliver them, we'll make sure they have them. You can see that they're doing it because we've got thousands going out. Birth is alive and well in Brevard. But they also said, how are you funding it? And I said, well, there's an opportunity. And between the 3 hospitals, they have underwritten the entire cost for the next 5 years. So that's impressive.
And Dr. Mullins, I'll just add to that quickly. I know I was speaking with Marcia Gadke from the Titusville Chamber the other day, and she is also working on funding from the Rotary clubs throughout the county to continue to purchase the books for the birthdays.
Awesome.
So that we can have some support there. So really the whole community coming together on it is awesome. Great job.
Thank you.
All right, we are now at the public comment portion of the meeting on agenda items. We have 9 agenda item speakers this evening. Therefore, each speaker will receive 3 minutes. Please note that time is per speaker, not per agenda item. Topics not specific to agenda items will be moved to the non-agenda portion of the meeting. We have a clock in front of me to help you keep track of your time. When your time is over, you will be asked to stop and allow the next speaker his or her turn. Always keep in mind that reasonable decorum is expected and your statement should be directed to the board chair. The chair may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement when time is up. It's personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. Should an individual not observe proper etiquette, the chair may request the individual to leave the meeting. I'll call up 3 speakers at a time, and if you all could line up on the east wall over there so that we can move through everyone. Our first 3 speakers are Karen Colby, Connie Rook, and Katie Delaney.
Good afternoon, board. Thank you for your time as always. I wanted to talk about 3 different things very quickly. One is L41 public participation. One is L38 seclusion and restraint of students with disabilities. And the last is H35 ad valorem millage resolution. The information that I have regarding L41 public participation during the meetings, I would strongly suggest please do not limit us anymore. Our First Amendment rights are at play here. The second item to speak, that was fast. The second item to speak about is the restraining students with disabilities. This is a very, very tight area where you don't want to have any errors. I would like to be a part of a committee if there is such a one that's formed to discuss this process, because I seriously feel that the means to restrain some of the children would absolutely blow some people's minds if we all knew what was really going on there, which is something I would like to suggest, having cameras in these special needs classrooms because of a certain individual young woman named Sophia. Now on to H35 ad valorem millage resolution. I've done a lot of research on this as a homeowner in Brevard County and a lifetime resident. If you own property in Florida, that property is going to be taxed by a certain method that's too complicated to go into here, but what it comes down to is that this school board thinks they're going to raise our taxes on our homes. We get a homeowner discount for one house, the one we live in, but if we're investment owners and we have property that is rented out to people like in the audience, this is going to make the rents go up. This is a pandemic year when everything is going up, the cost of food, the cost of living, the cost of utilities has more than tripled in the past 3 years of what we used to pay to now. It costs more to live anywhere, but here exponentially so. Let's discuss a house worth $250,000. Your millage rate is $2,150 annually. That's $2,150 annually. The price of houses, that same house is now worth $429,000. And I'm speaking about my house. Okay, so my millage rate went from $2,150 to $3,689 without y'all doing anything. I would like to anticipate everybody agreeing with me here that that was a huge raise, and that we're going to ask that you do not raise our millage rate. We just had it raised because of these inflationary numbers of our house's value. Raising it 1% would be another couple $1,000s a year. If you're a landlord, that's going to go right down to the trickle down of the ones that you don't want to impact the most, the renters. Our renters can't afford to live now. The renters used to pay $1,250 for a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom house. Now they're paying $3,000 each side. Gotta go. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Connie?
Good evening. Hi, members of the board. My name is Connie Rook, and I'm the mother to 3 children. Our oldest just graduated UF, and our youngest is still in high school. One of my favorite parenting memories is sitting around the family table at dinner and sharing our day. I remember our oldest telling us about her U.S. history teacher having the students draw the outline of a slave ship in the school's courtyard and having all the students lay side by side on the ground in the outline. We talked that evening about how traumatic it must have been to be torn from one's family and sold into slavery. I can't help to think that there are people that would protest that history lesson today. Very often, our discussions would fall to books. Tales of the Fourth Grade Nothing, Animal Farm, Hunger Games, To Kill a Mockingbird, Harry Potter. And now that I'm finding that some of the books that we read and discussed are showing up on banned book lists across the country. Those books portrayed poverty, hate, sex, drugs, politics, homosexuality, pain, fear, desperation. Do you know what else those same books portrayed? The power of the human spirit, of love and kindness and inclusion and perseverance and bravery, and the ability of a person and a community to empathize and overcome in the worst of adversity and the worst of humans. Discussions like this is how you raise good humans. If I've learned anything from these discussions, is that we must never judge a book by a few excerpts. Those books have been praised and recognized, and many have won awards. One of the books that has been presented to you has been made into a movie and was honored at several international film festivals and has won 2 Oscars. Intellectual freedom and books are powerful and necessary to the education of not only our kids, but our society as a whole. I have a lot of respect for our librarians. They're a crucial profession in our schools, and it takes about 6 years of full-time study to become a librarian, and I've said this before. You need a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in library and information science. The selection of books is not something they take lightly given the limited space and funding in our schools. Librarians consider a range of factors and review recommendations from a host of professional organizations. I would like to also add that school libraries are for all students, but not all students are the same. They have diverse interests, abilities, maturity levels, and a varied cultural and socioeconomic background. Our school library connections must be relevant to the students and the campus they serve. No one book is right for every child, but one book can make the difference in the life of a child. We respect those school professionals, and I hope that you do too. When it comes to removing books from our schools, I do not want my children's education whitewashed by a few loud but narrow minds that do not represent me, and they do not represent the majority of Brevard County. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. As Katie is approaching, our next 3 speakers will be Carrie Takacs, Jean Trent, and Sarah Mursky. If you guys wouldn't mind lining up on the east wall. Katie, whenever you're ready.
Well, I had some other things to speak about, but I will spend most of my time speaking about the public comment policy. Earlier today, I was stopped when I brought up the math books, and I didn't even get a chance to get to my point, yet the last speaker just got to go on a whole long rant and didn't bring up the policy at all. The way that this board stops and lets other people go on, but then stops others, that's what the problem is. Treat everyone equally. This is why there are lawsuits. Treat everyone equally. We should all have our 3 minutes to say our piece. And even though I may or may not agree with some certain people about what they want to speak about, I think that they should have their 3 minutes. But I should also have my 3 minutes. Thank you.
Carrie?
Hi, Carrie Takach. I actually was looking for clarification on I-38 seclusion and restraint of students with disabilities. Earlier at the workshop, a board member stated that they had to notify parents within 24 hours and not the end of the school day. I had read it, so maybe afterwards someone could clarify that. That would be great. I'm also speaking on I-41 public participation at board meetings. Every citizen, taxpayer, and parent has a right to speak at the school board meetings and share their input. The constant limiting of public speaking time is a tyrannical form of censorship, targeting parents and eliminating dissent. The board was elected by the people. The taxpayers pay the board salaries. They pay for the money to run and operate the entire district and educate the students. To ask them for more money, more of their money with this millage, while also silencing them, it's abhorrent and it's unconstitutional. Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. Jean?
Thank you. Dean Trent. So I'll be speaking on the millage increase or the proposed millage increase. When I first heard about this, it was for employee pay, teacher pay. And let me be clear, I am all for Brevard employees to be paid fairly and fight for fair compensation. That goes for cafeteria workers, that goes for custodians, clerks, and of course, teachers. I myself am a teacher in a family, I have a family and a father of 5, so we're all for fair compensation. But that might be for a fight for another day. This isn't about that. This is about public trust. Over the last few years, it's been very clear, abundantly clear, that this board as a whole has not valued the input received from the very same people they are now asking for more money. You have gone out of your way to shut the public out of your meetings, both literally and figuratively, from reducing the amount of time one can speak on a topic, to literally asking for the room to be cleared so you can continue your meetings without the public being present. All of this has to come with a price, and the price is public trust. It pains me to say that because of your actions, I'm afraid you lost the public trust. And as you move forward, in closing, I hope you have a plan to restore that public trust. And maybe that plan is the elections in August. But an idea to increase the millage at this point is actually just an idea that is destined to fail.
Thanks, Jean. As Sarah is approaching, the next 2 speakers after that will be Wyatt Stumbo and Jennifer Strafford. Sarah?
Good evening, Madam Chair and Board. My name is Sarah Mirsky. I have 2 children in BPS. I'm a registered voter, taxpayer, constituent, stakeholder, and I'm in District 2 for School Board. The First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. You were sworn in as constitutional officers. Your current public policy abridges the Constitution and freedom of speech. As the majority of the school board voted to limit public input time, I have watched the trust between the public and the school board continue to erode. People who come to address the school board can't even finish their thoughts and sentences before they are cut off by the chairwoman. It was heartbreaking watching families come to address serious issues of bullying and our awesome bus drivers being shut out of the meeting and or unable to finish their sentence in 1 minute, in their 1 minute address to the board. It was and still is disrespectful. Madam Chair, you interrupted me to say one agenda item had nothing to do with what my concern was before I could explain how they were connected, which was rude. I request you live stream at all board meetings and workshops and work sessions. H35, I ask we table this until the public better understands where our tax dollars are going. I-39, I ask, which is the instructional materials, I ask that the board take the directives from the FDOE to not go back to having funding taken away from our district. And I think that is it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sarah. Wyatt?
Sorry.
It's all
I'm going to
good.
speak on millage. To me, it's an interesting idea to tax the whole community of homeowners for students that go to school. And as we look at what's going on in the community, we look at the government saying we have a 7 to 8.5% inflation, which I think we all know is a little under the exact number. If you go to ycharts.com, our gas is up 43% year over year. If you go to Redfin, we know that Brevard County is up roughly 19 to 23% year over year in housing values. We know that if you go to Market Watch, 1 in 5 Americans didn't save it all in 2021. Didn't contribute at all to their savings, 20% in the United States. 48% contributed less than $5,000 to their savings. You just go on and on. You look at the state of Florida's population increase is roughly 1.12% net. We're a net increased population state. Our county is 1.1%. So we're taking in in the top 10 of all states, more population, which means more tax dollars, which means more sales tax. So I say all that to say, you get over to the budget and you look at last year's budget, and this is probably open to interpretation, but we're somewhere between a $900 million budget and a $1.2 billion budget. When you look at the PDF online, we've got what, 72,000 students. So simple math is somewhere around 14 to 16K per student is the budget when you look at it per student. I said this last time I was here, I could send my kid to private school for less money than that. And that should be a concern, that we're gonna look at taxing the community more money when we already have more money allocated per student in theory than cost to send to private school. So my ask is, we look at the current budget, we find the money we need, and we take some stuff away like we would a business, and we move it to the areas we need it. It's taking from people that have probably, I mean, I couldn't find this percentage, but we know that, or we could assume, sorry, we have more people here that have been here over the years that have seen their taxes on their housing increase year over year, as opposed to new people coming from the north. That's probably a safe assumption. So those that have been here, those that continue to pay increased tax and have less money, those are the same people that we're talking about Thrive for Five. Those people that aren't reading to their kids who are providing books. You can't tax those people more. Lastly, real quick, I would say the only thing on the speaking time is the drivers from a few meetings ago. You have employees that can't make it in time to sign up. That should be addressed because they should know how to come speak and use their time.
Thanks, Wyatt. Jennifer?
Sorry.
It's all good.
Thank you. Good evening. Over the past several months to a year that I have attended and witnessed these meetings, the public comment section has been cut from 3 minutes to 1 minute on non-agenda topics. This further makes us feel like you don't want to hear from us, your constituents. It is so frustrating when those of you up there don't even acknowledge some of us when we are at the podium, which is contributing to the division between the parents and the school board. The students and parents are the ones you are supposed to represent. But when we are getting threatened with jail time at the start of every meeting, that further proves that all of you need a reminder of just that. We are aware that there are other ways to express ourselves, such as a call or an email, but this is our public forum to air our grievances, and this time is public record, and the community is able to hear what we have to say. I ask at the very least you consider giving the speakers on non-agenda items the additional 2 minutes back.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, that concludes our public comment on agenda items. Do you want to make a point of clarification that the policy modification that is on the agenda this evening actually increases the time for non-agenda speakers to mirror the time for the agenda speakers? So we go back to the 3-2-1 instead of 1 minute for non-agenda speakers when that policy is passed. And I think there's some confusion on that point. Dr. Mullins, anything that you wanted to address before I move on?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay. So that is going to move us into the consent agenda. Dr. Mullins.
There are 23 agenda items under this category.
Thank you, Dr. Mullins. Does any board member wish to pull any item from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Moved by Ms. Campbell, seconded by Ms. McDougall. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. And the motion passes 5-0. Now we will hold a public hearing on item G34. Is there anyone present who wishes to address the board regarding the Elementary and Secondary Emergency Relief ESSER Fund under the American Rescue Plan, ARP Act, updated instructional continuity plans? Is there anyone present who wishes to address the board regarding the Elementary and Secondary Emergency Relief ESSER Fund under the American Rescue Plan, ARP Act, updated instructional continuity plans? Okay, does any board member have anything to discuss pertaining to this policy? That will conclude the public hearing on that. Dr. Mullins, will you please let us know about the item under the action portion of tonight's agenda?
The first item is F35, ad valorem millage resolution.
Do I hear a motion? Moved by Ms. McDougall. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Jenkins. Is there any discussion? Ms. Campbell?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just wanted to thank the people who've reached out to me. I've had some personal conversations with people in person, phone calls, emails, because they're participating in the process, right? Their input is valuable, and I just want to say your part in the process is not over, because I just want to clarify some things, because it's really important for people to know what we're doing, because the process continues with the public. If it passes tonight, this school board can do nothing to raise the taxes for the people of Brevard County. We could do nothing on our own to initiate the half-cent sales tax or to renew the half-cent sales tax. We can send it out to the voters. And so the process, the public participation, your input continues on. It's really important to me, I don't know if it's just the teacher in me, but I want to make sure too that people have accurate information, because I understand there are some people that it doesn't matter what it's for or what it is. They're just not going to be for a tax increase regardless. And I get that. I understand that. So I just want to make sure that as you're making your decision, as people are making their decision, as I'm making my decision as a board member on what we're going to do tonight, that I look for accurate information. And so, some of that is everybody doesn't always understand millage and what is a mill. And I had to do my own, research on that back in a couple of years ago to try to figure out what exactly does that mean. So, we do all have, somebody mentioned it tonight, we have on your home where you live, right, that you own, if you own it and that is your residence, you get your homestead exemption, but also we have a cap on how much your home can be appraised. So even though my house that we built in 2014 now is worth, not quite twice as much as it was when we bought it, because the market values increase, your appraisal can go only up by just a small percentage every year, and that's what your tax is based on, subtracting your homestead exemption. So a house that is valued at $200,000, just to keep it super simple, I'm using super round numbers. If your home is valued around $200,000 on your tax appraisal's website, the increase of $1 mil would be $200. So I just want to make sure people understand it's not a percentage of your total tax bill, but it is literally 0.1% of whatever that is. That's what a mill is, of whatever your home is valued at. So like I said, anybody's home in the county who is assessed at $200,000 after the homestead exemption, the increase of 1 mil would be $200 a year. You can go on the tax, if you forgot what your bills are over the year, you can go, and I've already been on the tax collectors, Brevard County tax collectors website this week, looking up all kinds of people. I've looked up some of the people in this room just to see what would it be for you and what would it be for you. Am I giving the right information? I've got somebody who's renting across the street from me, and that's been a concern that people have brought up to me. So I'm like, okay, what does that look like? And actually, because the thing that they don't have is the homestead exemption, right? And so just not being nosy, it's all public record, and I won't tell you who it is, but their assessment will go up about $240 a year, and that's for relatively nice neighborhood in West Melbourne. So so I just want to make sure that people understand, because one, like I said, it's been tossed out. Someone has even said, a couple of actually people have said, you're actually taking money away from the people you want to give the raises to. But I think we need to recognize what an increase, what size of increase that is, and how much will we pay. And I understand that to pass it on to the renters, I do, and that was something that I had to take consideration as I was thinking through this. I also we've said it before, but not everybody watches all the board meetings. I mean, who wants to watch a school board meeting? Sometimes they're fun and sometimes they're boring, even for those of us who are sitting up here. But I want to make sure people understand that we actually have very little. Not only can we not increase taxes on our community, we can't even set the original ones. That's another misconception that happens a lot. We have had so much growth in Brevard County. Isn't your revenue growing because we have all these new houses going up? And the answer is no, because we don't set our tax rate. Not like the county across the street, not like the cities. This school board can do nothing to change the rate. Our rate is set by the state. And so that's why, and it's in the agenda item, but that's why my records, I just went back to 2015. Maybe it's because that's the year, we built our house, but in 2015, the millage rate was 5.027 for the discretionary, with the required local effort that we have for the school board. In 2021, it was 3.602. So again, 5.027 down to 3.602. So what the state has done to all of our benefit is, while our property values have continued to increase, even just a little bit because of the cap, they've lowered the tax rate so that, and I'm not going to tell you what I pay in taxes. You can look it up your own if you are that curious. But my family's house, even though, like I said, the market value has gone through the roof, our taxes have varied over the last 8 years by about $140 from a low point, actually, in 2020. The high point was in 2015. So $140 difference between the highest year and the lowest point. It's gone up, down, but those are the highs and the lows. $140 difference. And so the state adjusts that down, down, down. And so actually, if a mill is added, we'll actually be back up to around where we were around 2016. So I just want to, again, it's really important. If people are opposed to a tax, I totally get that, but I want to make sure we get an accurate information out there. I'm certainly grateful for the increases that the legislature has given us over this last couple of years to address our salary, our compensation problems, but we still have some holes. And just to replay some of those that we have given, the state gave us the teacher salary increase allocation, so that across the state, school districts can get their minimum salary up to $47,500. We were able the first year to get up to $46,550, and then this year to $46,800. And if governor signs the budget, it looks like we should be able to hit that $47,500 minimum in this coming school year. This year, I'm so grateful for the addition to the base student allocation with the requirement that we get all our salaries up to a minimum of $15 an hour 4 years early, from 3 or 4 years early from because the voters of the state of Florida approved the minimum wage to increase $1 a year till we get to $15 an hour, and the state gave us some extra money to address that. But again, we have some holes, and one of the holes is that we have the wage compression issue, that we have people who are brand new out of college all the way up to having taught for 10, 12 plus years, and they're making the exact same amount. We have people who, when we get to the $15 an hour next year, are going to be supervised by someone who's only making 40 or 50 cents an hour more than they are. We also have holes in healthcare for our budget. Now, we could have, as a board, and I've only been on the board for 3.5 years, but as the board over the last 8 years could have increased premiums every year for the last 8 years. I want you to think about what happened 8 years ago, 2014. Anybody, anything ring a bell in healthcare? The Affordable Care Act. I don't know anybody else in the country who has not had a healthcare premium increase on their health insurance over the last 8 years, but BPS. Now, if you chose the silver plan, your rates are the same as they were 8 years ago. Now, we could have increased those premiums a little bit every year, but we didn't. We and the previous boards. We probably should have done some of that a little bit year to year, but truth be told, it would have been counterproductive to increasing compensation for our employees, because some of those years there was nothing or next to nothing to give for recurring raises. So I understand why previous boards didn't do it. And even though we've been able to give some pretty good raises over the last couple of years, the first 2 years, $1,100, and then the $2,000, and the longevity supplement last year, dealing with the teacher salary allocation, which didn't help all teachers, but our other employees didn't get anything. And that increase is just one of the things that we have that's whole. The biggest thing, I've heard people talk about, continue to cut. And we have continued to cut. We have cut, I want to say this again, $39 million over the last 6 years, $29 million since I've been on the board. Those have come from all departments, 10% across the board, where Dr. Mullins has come to departments and said, you got to cut 10%, figure out where it's going to come from. We've cut positions, we've done hiring freezes up here at the district office, and I'm sorry if I've said this before, but it needs to be said again. Part of those cuts that we're going to continue to do are going to have to deal with things that a potential millage can't deal with. The inflation that people have talked about a lot. I have lost count of how many contracts we've had to renegotiate already, because our vendors are coming back to us and say, I'm sorry, we can't continue that contract. We can't extend the contract at the current rates. You're going to have to pay more because their costs are higher, from charter buses to construction costs. And we're renegotiating a couple of contracts tonight, food service. So we're not going to stop cutting. But we, having looked at this over the last 3.5 years, I don't believe that we can cut our way to the kind of additional revenue that a millage can provide. And I am certain that we can't cut our way to the significant increases in compensation that our employees, who are also facing the same inflation that everybody's talked about tonight, that they need. It is still around $4 million for us to give a 1% raise to all our employees. Roughly about $4 million. It's probably a little bit more now that the teacher salaries have increased, and we're going to get to the $15 an hour. It'll go up a little bit, but a little over $4 million to give all employees across the district a 1% raise. 1%. 1% that we've heard from the first year that Cheryl and I got on the board is not enough to deal with inflation, normal inflation, much less what we have going on. I just want to point out tonight, board, as we go through our department, in our action agenda, we've got a department-initiated agreement with the Florida Department of Health. The Department of Health is a state agency, and they also have to get up to the $15 per hour minimum wage. But I don't know if you noticed it, as this in the agenda item, it says they're going to be increasing the pay to $15 an hour for those who are under it. Then it says all other employees are to be awarded a 5.38% increase to their base rate of pay to address rising inflation. So our nurses and our health techs in our clinics are going to be getting either up to $15 an hour or 5.38% raise to deal with inflation, the same inflation again that our teachers and our staff, our bus drivers, our cafeteria workers are also dealing with. And I apologize for going long, but this is one of the most significant decisions that we will have made in my time on the board. We have vacancies. We have workforce shortage. A lot of other industries do as well. A lot of other industries have the opportunity to do things about increasing revenue. If you have a successful company, you generate more revenue and you can pay your employees more. If we have students, if we have schools that rate as A, and we have students who are national merit finalists and all of that, we're going to congratulate them. We're going to make a big, huge deal about it, but we don't get paid anymore. And our teachers and our bus drivers and all that, they can go to any other job in their industry. They can leave us and go to a job in their industry, whether it's science, and we've certainly got plenty of those opportunities around here, engineering firms, Russell Cheatham's tech staff going off to work other computer jobs. The bus drivers, Matt talked about this before, they go work for the county or somewhere else, private bus companies. They can leave us and go work for another employer in their field and make thousands, if not tens of thousands more per year. Why would they stay with us? And the ones who stay, I'm so thankful that they do. But they've got to help. They've got to pay for their families as well. I just have to address one more thing, and that is, it's been said in different forums that we would be asking for this increase because of loss of student enrollment, and that it's our fault. And if we, because of BPS policies, the board policies, that's why we're losing students. And I get it. And I know why some of the losses were. We lost students in 2020 because we had a mask mandate. We lost students because we didn't have a mask mandate. We lost them this year because we didn't have one at the beginning of the year. And then we lost them because we did have one again. And then back and forth. And we have lost students. But I just want to point out, and again, I'm a numbers person. If you look at the BPS plus the charter, because we've lost some of them to charter, BPS has. If you add the BPS plus the charter enrollment from pre-pandemic in 2019-20, it was about 71, little over 71,000 students in Brevard. Going to skip the pandemic year because that was an anomaly for all of us. But this school year, we're almost back up to 70,000. Next year, we're projected by the state to be back up to 71,000, and the year after that to be up to 72,000. So in other words, the total number of students across the district between the BPS and the charter schools has stayed relatively the same. And, you know, the millage by law has to be shared with the charter schools. So we're talking about funding students. And by the way, as a charter school liaison, I can tell you, they're desperately in need of employees and being able to compensate them competitively so that their employees will stay across all employee groups. So I'll just say, our total enrollment has changed. It's not changed, really. We're going to be sharing this to benefit all the students in Brevard County that are attending our public schools, whether charter or BPS. So again, I just want to make sure people have accurate information. And again, the process is not over. The public is going to have their time. But I want to make sure people have accurate information. I'm certainly willing to share any more information if somebody wants to reach out, ask me about what's going on with our budget.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Any other board member wish to speak to the agenda item? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it pretty short. Thank you, Ms. Campbell, for clarifying a lot of that stuff that I definitely wanted to talk about as well. I just kind of want to keep it human for a moment and kind of reiterate something that you were talking about. So I'm a household, 2 educators. My husband has been educating in Brevard Public Schools for 12 years. He is making $46,800, which is exactly the same as a brand new. It is a problem. We are the second most experienced workforce in the state of Florida, which means the majority of our teachers are teaching 12 years and above. That's the thing you want. That's a great quality to have. The problem is we aren't compensating them enough. And once they hit that amazing threshold of 12 years, they're leaving. They're leaving for other businesses, other industries, because they're not making enough money. But now it's been made worse because they're making same as the brand new teacher walking into the building. Never mind all the other responsibilities that have been placed on top of them that they've just kind of pummeled through like they always do. Someone made a really good point, and I completely agree with it during public comment about how families have been struggling to save. Everyone's been hit hard financially, and I completely agree with that. You know, again, a household of 2 educators, we legitimately have to make decisions whether or not we're going to be able to save for our own daughter's college. There's a household of educators, and it's just a weird concept. You know, we've got master's degrees, we've got 12 years of experience, we're dedicating our lives to these children, and we can't plan for the future of our own daughter. That's a problem. And then needless to say, I mean, when we start talking about our other staff members that are making hourly wages, they are struggling. The fact that they're even still here with us is more than commendable. And they need to be rewarded. And no, we cannot do it with the current budget that we have. There isn't some secret hidden money that we've been using inappropriately. I agree with Ms. Campbell. I think it's really important for the public to be aware that no, it's not our decision. Majority rules. It goes to the voters. But every other county in the state of Florida, I think it's 22 at this point, it's gone to the voters, and they did the right thing for their community because it impacts their families, their neighbors, and the future of their community. And what I think is really unique about Brevard that we really need to take a minute and think about, that's different than those other counties, is that we are the Space Coast and we offer so many employment opportunities for all levels of our staff to just leave. And that's a problem because you want teachers in front of your students. You want staff members in those classrooms. You need bus drivers. You need people in our cafeterias. We can't be without those people because we cannot function as an organization without those people. The other thing that I think is really important, and if this goes forward, I know that BPS is going to have a messaging plan and talk about all the other things other than teacher compensation and staff wages, but this is going to support all staffing. One of the things that Dr. Mullins, sorry if I'm jumping the gun here, but every time I bring it up to people, it makes them really excited because there's really innovative things we can be doing with this money that we don't have the money to do right now. We can have an assistant in every K through 2 classroom to support a teacher, so that we can get in there when those kids are young and struggling and get in there and get them on grade level before they hit the 3rd grade. We cannot do that right now with the budget that we have. These are the important things that this millage could provide to our students and to our community and to our staff. And even something as simple as adding an IA in a classroom, not only does that benefit our students, but that makes the day of our teacher better. It makes the morale for that teacher better, and it will help us retain them and also recruit from other counties where they may not have that support in their classroom because it's a unique ability to them. So that's just one little thing that I had discussed with Dr. Mullins, and I'm sorry if I wasn't supposed to say that out loud. But I think it's really important because it's not just about the wages. Yes, that's so critical. That's so important. That's what we're going to talk about on the forefront. But there's so many other benefits to this millage passing. But again, it goes to the voters, and the voters of Brevard County get to make this decision ultimately.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. Anyone else? I will just add one thing, and thank you, Ms. Campbell, for a very thorough explanation of the parts and pieces.
Long.
No, it was great. It was all important information to share, and much of it I had planned on sharing as well. The only additional thing that I'll throw out there is, and primarily because people don't understand it, is that our tax dollars that we pay for education in the state of Florida don't come directly to our schools. So when we pay millage on our property for education, those dollars for our RLE, our required local effort, the 3.6 that Ms. Campbell referenced earlier, actually go to not to Titusville. I wish to Titusville. Go to Tallahassee, and the legislature decides how they're going to send those dollars back to us. And so we don't necessarily get all of those dollars back. And when we get those dollars back, we get them in the way that the state wants to give them to us. And so with categoricals that require us to spend them in a certain way, like the $15 per hour minimum wage. So in looking at the record funding that education is receiving this year, absolutely, you can't deny that the dollars are going up, but there are a couple of things that we have to consider, I think, and that is how much of those dollars, and it was covered very thoroughly in our budget workshop, how much of those dollars are we being told how we have to spend? Because we can't determine how we're going to spend the bulk of those dollars. We went from, Dr. Mullins, help me out on numbers because you're the one who has that brain that never forgets it, but we went from like a $43 million increase to, by the time we address the categoricals, the additional dollars to charter schools, all of those things, we're down to $3.6 million available from the budget. Oh, I got the numbers right. Look at that. Which, if you all were listening, Ms. Campbell mentioned over $4 million to do a 1% raise. So not even enough additional dollars from the state funding to do a 1% raise across the board. And that is really problematic. The other thing that is a part of the state funding formula, which I just think this is an interesting fact that a lot of people are not aware of. We've talked about it a few times, and that is the district cost differential. So what our state does is they identify a multiplier, and it's based on the cost of living per county. And if our cost of living in Brevard County is lower than the cost of living in other counties, our multiplier is below 1. So what they do is they go through all of the FEFP funding, the Florida Education Finance Program funding formula, and they determine how many dollars are going to come to Brevard County, and then they multiply it by our cost of living figure. If we're under 1, for those of you who are math people, we're losing dollars, and we're under 1. So every year we lose millions of dollars to other counties that have a higher cost of living Oh, and by the way, most of the time, those counties that are above 1 on their multiplier because they have a higher cost of living also have additional millage. So when we're looking at providing a competitive salary to our workforce, we are facing multiple challenges in being able to do that. In addition, the structure of Brevard County, because we're long and thin, we have multiple counties that surround us. If you look at the average teacher salary of Indian River, Seminole County, and Orange County, all of them have a higher average teacher salary than what we have here in Brevard County, which means not only do we have the competition of all of the space boom that's going on, but we also have the competition of the other districts, especially those who have passed a millage and are getting additional dollars through the district cost difference. So there's so many intricacies to the budget and the way that we're funded and the restrictions on the dollars. And then the last thing that I will say, and to echo what everyone else said, the board is not making this choice for our community. The board is making a decision tonight whether to give our community the opportunity to weigh in on it. And I think that's a critically important difference. The bottom line is that a lot of people look at it and say, we got all this additional federal funding. And I think that's an important aspect to discuss too, in that we did get a lot of federal funding that has allowed us to do some great things for our students. The challenge with it is those are not recurring dollars. So we can't use one-time money to make a long-term commitment on a raise. And that's where we run into problems. And we've heard, if you've heard the sound bites over the past couple of years when we've only been able to give a bonus to our employees, that's because we only have one-time money. And when that money goes away, we don't have the dollars to keep paying it. So we've been forced to give bonuses as opposed to raises. And I'm going to throw one more intricate thing out there, and then I'm going to hush up and let you guys get to it. But I think it's also important to note that the issue that we're facing with salary compression, especially for our teachers, it's difficult enough with our staff who are being raised to $15 an hour 3 years before we had anticipated it happening. But for our teachers, we have additional statutory limitations that are creating some real issues. And that is that once we reach $47,500 as our minimum teacher salary, for every dollar that we give to a teacher who's making more than $47,500, we must give 75 cents to the teacher making $47,500, which means that it is incredibly difficult for us to be able to close that gap. Part of what we have been doing has been giving bonuses to try to make up for the fact that those people haven't gotten raises. And the same people that are currently making a little bit over $47,500 that are going to be making maybe $400 more than the teacher in the next room to them that just came into the district, those are the same people that lived with pay raises for 4 years. Pay freezes. Did I say raises? Yeah. Pay freezes for 4 years during the recession. And so they are truly getting a double whammy. And quite frankly, it makes it difficult to entice people to stay in the classroom and serve our kids. So with that, I'm going to get off of my soapbox. And anyone else want to speak? Otherwise, I'll call the question. Go ahead.
I think everybody has covered it very well. I think it's up to the community to decide if they value their public schools and if they value their teachers. And I think this is why we are wanting to put this forward and put it on the ballot.
All right, any additional discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Nay.
And the motion passes 4-1. All right, Dr. Mullins.
The next item is F36 Procurement Solicitation.
What are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Susan, seconded by Ms. McDougall. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Dr. Mullins?
The last item is F37 Department School Initiated Agreements.
Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Susan, seconded by Ms. McDougall. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. All right, we will move on to the information agenda, which includes items for board review and may be brought back for action at a subsequent meeting. No action will be taken on these items tonight. Dr. Mullins?
There are 4 items under the information category.
Does any board member wish to discuss any of the information items on the agenda this evening? All right, do any other board members have information to report or discuss for board discussion?
I do.
Ms. Jenkins?
Yeah, thanks. I have two things. So I forgot to say in the beginning that I promised the students from Vera High School that I would make you guys, but I'm going to ask you instead, if they can bring their robot here. They really want to show it off. They said they'll get it here. Just let us know when we can come. And I said I would make that happen. So let's not break their hearts. You let me know, Dr. Mullen. You let me know when, and I will tell them when. But no, so on a serious note, I do want to have a conversation, and ironically, somebody brought it up in public comment earlier today and in public comment during this meeting. But it's something that I feel passionate about, and I was planned on bringing it up anyway. I would like this board to consider the recording of any of our meetings that are open to the public. Obviously, we have executive sessions that the public is not privy to that information, but I think it's completely appropriate. You know, it doesn't have to necessarily be live streamed because I know that would include certain staff members and probably we would have to be in this room every single time. But I don't understand why we can't record it and upload it, at a bare minimum audio record it. I think that the public has a right to hear what people are saying. I think it holds certain accountability measures for what is being said and presented and how it gets out to the public. And I just was wondering if you guys are on board with that.
I like it. We've done it in the past where we record it and we can upload it in places where there's no, in places where there's no Wi-Fi and stuff like that, throw it on an audio. I think it's great. Good idea. I think it's something that we need to do. I'm in favor of it. Sounds good. Just start seeing what the infrastructure is. Sometimes we run into places where it's difficult to. Sometimes, just so you know, we might throw down a microphone in the places where we're in that may be difficult to pick up a speech. But I mean, there's no, my only fear would be that somebody says, well, I can't hear you on the microphone. Well, sometimes that might happen. That's it. So, but I'm in favor of it.
I just want to make sure that people understand that we already, in case there's any question, we are already doing what is required.
Yes,
we
yeah,
take
yeah.
minutes at every meeting, and they're publicly available. They're announced and all of that stuff. The biggest issue for me would be the ability to do it. Because I don't. It's not. We can't always have our meetings in here because this room gets used a lot during the week. So, and we do our superintendent evaluations and our board evaluations and whatever, and we usually do those in smaller rooms because we're not taking up so much space when this room has to be used for conferences and stuff, so.
We can record them on a cell phone.
We can use our phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can literally live stream if we have
I
to.
love it. It's more transparency. It's great.
I just want to that's a good point, Ms. Campbell, though. I do want to clarify, we are completely following every single state statute when it comes to open meetings and recording and stuff. This would be going above and beyond, but I don't see why there would be an issue to do it. And it's something that I felt like we should have been doing a long time ago. So thank you.
Mr. Cheatham, I was wondering, didn't we used to, I thought when we first started, when we were in the conference room, didn't we tape those? Was I dreaming that? I thought we taped it. No, I really thought we were taping those. I thought we did.
Yeah, we
Okay.
did.
Okay. So I know.
They were live streamed, but they uploaded.
Right.
I think they uploaded it after.
Absolutely. So yeah, I just want to make sure I know that we have done that.
Yeah, we did have set up in the superintendent's conference room for when we meet in there that we could record. I think where we may run into problems is when we do offsite. Then, we may have some issues with audio and video quality and all of those things. But yeah. Okay, any other board discussion item?
Yep, I got one.
Mr. Susan?
Are we all clear? We're
I
good?
think we're good on that, right?
All right. So many of you guys don't know, but there's been an ongoing situation that I've had with the Florida High School Athletic Association in dealing with private schools that were playing. Last year, we ran into a situation where one of our baseball programs went down, all the way down into Miami, played a game, and then found, literally, they were not supposed to play a game for 7 days. They practiced for 4 days running all their pitchers. And then because a private school overturned with a judge that the FHSA's ruling was not fair, our kids were forced to go within 24 hours and go up against a team in Miami, and we lost by a couple of runs. We remember that. It was very upsetting. Now we have another situation where private schools down in South Florida, what they do is they take a lot of the students from a lot of these travel teams and they put them on private school teams. And it's an acoustic nature, like environment. Like our kids are going down there to play baseball and the crowds and everybody else are engaging with our kids, and it's getting to be out of control. So one in particular case came up with Vieira High School, and what ended up happening is one of the players ended up in the middle of playing, and you know the umpire or the catcher touched our guy, and then he turned around to try to touch the ref and say, "Hey, here's what he did," and threw him out, and then gave him a 12-month suspension. All right, so I wouldn't have brought this up had my athletic director, my principal, the coach, and the families all been in unison and saying this is absurd. So this is just an FYI that I'm going to start getting involved with pulling. I'm actually going to ask for all disciplinary actions in the state of Florida over the last 2 years in both private and public school, both division level 1, 2, and 3, and to try to see if there's any inconsistencies. If they're consistent with what they do, then that's one thing. But I will promise you, to end a kid's career because he's a junior right now and it'll run into next year, is horrible for what that is. That's the same offense as some kid turning around and punching somebody in the face. That is absurd. And it's not fair for the rest of us to have to go through that. It's not fair for us to have to go down to these private schools where they can't control the community that we're playing against, and our kids are in a hostile environment. This is number 2, and I'm just sick of it. So I just wanted to let you guys know I wasn't going to bring it up. I apologize not putting it on, but I started getting texts from the parents as I was walking in that the decisions come down. So I'm going to look to see the validity, and if not, I'm just going to get loud. That's all, just to let you guys know.
Let us know how we can support it, Mr. Susan.
Thank you.
Any other board discussion? Dr. Mullins, do you have anything?
Ms. Belford, if I could just do a quick appendix add-on footnote to my presentation earlier. I realized that I skipped over recognizing one of our pre-K programs. It was on the slide with the high school CTE programs. I got so excited about that, I skipped over a bullet. But it's and I don't want our pre-K VE classrooms to go unacknowledged. We have 49 classrooms across 35 elementary schools. It was the bullet on the slide, but and those are our pre-K programs for our students with disabilities based on the IEP team recommendations, and just another great testament of the support and resources that we provide our littlest ones who may have a learning disability already. And just a huge shout out and thank you to our pre-K VE teachers who are inspiring our kids and loving on them. Thank you.
Can I double down on that real quick? Kind of goes hand in hand with that millage and how we have the opportunity to offer unique situations for some of our students. But that is something you're talking about. It's a part of that was a program that I was part of, and that is not offered in every county across the state. We offer special education services to our kiddos that are 3 and 4 years old, even if they aren't inside a VPS, VPK classroom. So these are things to think about the amazing services that we offer.
And I would say critically important to get them started off on the right foot, especially if they're facing additional challenges coming into kindergarten.
Unidentified, what they end up doing, if they're not identified, helped with inclusion, everything is chaos and something that we have committed. Kudos.
Yep, absolutely. All right, anything else? All right, then we are going to now hear the remaining speakers who signed up to comment on non-agenda items. Just for clarification, we will be transitioning the policy. We will vote on the policy at the next meeting to adjust the public comment time for non-agenda speakers to 3 minutes, the sliding scale that goes along with the agenda item speakers. But this evening we have 9 speakers, each of which will have 1 minute to speak. We have a clock in front of me to help you keep track of your time. When your time is over, you'll be asked to stop and allow the next speaker his or her turn. We'll hear from the speakers in the order in which they signed up, including those who may be waiting outside, although I don't think we have any, unless they just wanted to enjoy the fabulous weather this evening. As stated earlier, reasonable decorum is expected at all times, and your statements should be directed to the board chair. Should audience participation interfere with speakers being heard or hearing me, I will be forced to clear the room. When I call your name, please line up along the east wall of the boardroom to facilitate the smooth transition of speakers. We'll begin with our first three speakers, Emma Ramsey, Karen Colby, and Max Maddle. I apologize, Max, if I got that wrong. You can correct me when you get up there. Emma, whenever you're ready.
Hello, my name is Emma Ramsey, and I am currently a 10th grader at Edgewood Junior Senior High School. I am here today to propose a change to the current attendance policy that would excuse special programs tied to the state or federal government. In February, I was selected as a Florida Senate page for a week, and it was an incredible opportunity. I learned a lot every day from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. about government at the state level, and I was able to apply what I learned while I was there, such as how bills make it to the Senate floor, how committee meetings operate, and how to campaign, which are all things we would learn in a government class. This is why I believe there should be a spot in the attendance policy that excuses this program. For example, under religion and doctor's notes and court dates could be special programs tied to the federal or state government. This excuses things pertaining to the House and Senate page programs and girls and boys state. I firmly believe the sole purpose of education is meant to apply what we have learned in the classroom.
Thank you, Emma. We appreciate you joining us this evening.
And considering my proposal. Have a great day.
Yes, and I'm thrilled that you got an opportunity to take part in that program. It is a phenomenal experience. But that should be an excused absence.
Yes, but she has to submit an application. I believe
Got it.
she's proposing that it be in policy so she wouldn't have to submit an appeal.
Okay. Karen Colby?
Hey, okay, for my 1 minute, I wanted to spend 2 seconds talking about the book conversation. We had an issue with books being taken from the library, from the curriculum, and that would be math-related books. And just so people listening understand something, it has more to do with word questions. Instead of saying if Billy had 3 brothers and 1 brother wasn't with him that day, how many brothers does Billy have? And you'd have to figure out, does Billy still have the brothers not there, or are the brothers missing or whatever? A, B, C, D, multiple guess. But some of these questions had to do with some pretty odd subject matter for a math question. And it would be more like if Billy had 3 friends, one's binary, one's gender fluid, and one is questioning how many non-binary friends does Billy have? And I'd be here going, Billy, I don't know how many friends you got now. I'd be confused because they, them, and there are 2 people sometimes. For my last 6 seconds, I do want to thank you for listening about the millage, and we will vote, all of the people will vote against it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Colby. As Max is approaching, our next 3 speakers will be Alexis Seat, Cole Espino, and Katie Delaney. You all would line up on the east wall. Max, how do I say your last name?
Madel.
Got it. Thank you.
Alrighty. Hi, my name is Max Madel. I am a 10th grade student at Vieira High School. This year, VHS decided to implement an ID card system. You are required to wear this ID card on a lanyard around your neck at all times on campus. You need this ID card to come into school, to leave the classroom if you want to use the restroom, and if you want to come back to class from the restroom. In the morning when people are trying to get into school, they are being marked as tardy because the line to scan your ID card is astronomically long. I know that in my first period class, there are multiple people coming into class almost 10 minutes late. This morning, April 26, 2022, I forgot my ID card for the first time all year. I was given a detention slip that is for tomorrow from 8:05 to 8:40 a.m. At the beginning of the year, the principal attended one of my classes and let us know that we can show our ID card to an administrator to get the detention removed. But how am I supposed to get the detention removed if my detention is scheduled for 8:05 tomorrow morning? I understand that this is for safety reasons. However, it makes us students feel like we are in jail, to use an anonymous student's exact words from this morning. If this
Thank
was
you,
truly
Max. We appreciate you joining us this evening. Dr. Sullivan, would you mind grabbing Max? Sorry.
You're not in trouble.
Yeah.
It's gonna work.
Yeah, she's gonna help you.
Alexis?
It looked like somebody
Yeah,
did
make
a-
that clear.
We're
He's
outta
not in
here.
trouble.
He's like,
He thinks he's getting another one.
No detentions, Max, I promise. Not in here. All right, Alexis, whenever you're ready.
Hello, my name is Alexa. I am a sophomore from O'Galley High School with students working against tobacco, empowering youth in the fight against nicotine addiction. I want to discuss vaping and the use of nicotine products by youth. You, as board members, can improve students' academic and behavioral growth. In Brevard County, 1 in 6 students aged 11 through 17 have used harmful nicotine products, which we know affects mental health and academic achievement. Withdrawal symptoms in nicotine-addicted youth can be experienced during school hours and can make it worse. A local student aged 13 had stated, "I had headaches all the time, and it was hard to focus in school, so my grades dropped." We ask that you amend policy 3215 to remove suspension or expulsion for using or having a nicotine product on campus and instead provide resources and help to quit. This will improve all students' chance of academic success and mental health well-being. If students who are caught using nicotine are given help instead of suspension or expulsion, they will feel more comfortable asking for help in this school. With this, I see a nicotine-free future within our schools and our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Alexis. Nicolette?
Hello, my name is Nicolette. I am a junior at O'Galley High. I'm with SWAT. Today, I will address the opportunity you have to protect youth from the detrimental effects of nicotine. As board members who support mental health, social, and academic success, I know you care about this issue. Nicotine harms are the brain responsible for learning, memory, impulse control, and mental health. In Brevard, 1 in 15 youth vape on school property. A common response to this is suspension or expulsion. However, research shows this does not help kids quit and may actually increase the likelihood of nicotine use within a year. A local 8th grader said this about suspension: "It made me want to do it more because I didn't have much else to do." The same student was provided education and resources that helped them quit. If you amend policy 3215 to prioritize support services without suspension or expulsion, kids might be more likely to quit and stay quit. They would stay in a vape-free, socially supportive environment without missing class, prioritizing mental health and academic success at the same time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicolette. As Ms. Delaney is approaching, our next 3 speakers will be Sarah Mirsky, Stephen Knapp, and then Diana Haynes.
I just wanted to say a quick thing about the millage. I think that everybody in this county is for teacher raises. That's not what we're arguing. Some of us just believe that the money's in the budget. Also, I wanted to speak about I don't know what else to call it, snitch hotline for the kids. A teenager came to me and told me that a few times this year, an anonymous tip came in that she was smoking weed on the school property. And when she went into the SRO, they had her, and this is a male SRO, they had her pull her bra out and shake with no female in the room. And it's totally inappropriate, especially off of an anonymous tip for a really good kid who gets great grades and has never been in trouble.
Thank you, Ms. Delaney. Would you please send me the details on that so we can follow up? Ms. Mirsky.
Good evening, Sarah Mirsky. I want to address some registration issues that people have come across. If you do not check yes to a part of a medical form that went out to the district, I think a couple months back, I have lots of questions still about that, that it does say in the registration packet that your child will be denied emergency or life-saving services, which is really confusing because we're hearing different things from EMS and firefighters. The other thing that I want to say is it also states that your child won't be allowed on campus for 7th grade if they haven't had the DTaP vaccination, and there's no information about how you guys have to accept a 681 form, which is a religious exemption. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mirsky. Stephen, whenever you're ready.
Hello and good evening. My name is Steven and I'm a Brevard County resident my whole entire life. I have a daughter who is 11 years old. She's been a Brevard County resident her entire life, obviously. And she's in 5th grade. And I am here today because, for one reason really, is that I just want to be able to eat lunch with her. Um, you know, it's a very important time in our lives. Don't really get this opportunity, you know, in the future. So that's why I'm here. I called the school multiple times. Talked to the front office, and they say they're waiting for somebody else to make that decision. I just hope that it comes sooner than later. I appreciate everything y'all do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. Diana?
I thought we were allowing it.
Good evening. Before you start my time, I'd like to ask that I get full 3 minutes. If you pull my record card, I requested to speak under I-41, and my name was not called, so I would like to be able to use my full 3 minutes now if possible. Also,
Hold on just a second, Diana. Let me
Okay.
look into what it is that you're saying, okay?
Thank you. On the yellow sheet.
Yeah, if it's on yellow, that's the non-agenda items only. Says it at the top of it in a big box.
Right, well, I apologize that your staff didn't direct me, otherwise I was just discussing I-41 with them when I filled out that sheet. I also wanted to, you know, talk now under non-agenda items.
Yeah, all I have is a non-agenda item sign up.
Does it say I-41 on there also?
On the side it does, but
Yes.
but I don't have, so this is the sign up for agenda and this is the sign up for non-agenda. And I don't have an agenda item sign up for you.
And that's always been, because I didn't see any orange papers when I came and filled out the form. The only things that were there were yellow ones.
I'm not sure because I wasn't out there when you signed up, but that's all I
Okay.
have is the non-agenda.
I'll try to get it all in under 1 minute.
Okay.
Let's start with, as a parent, a grandparent, and a taxpayer, I demand to know what the hell is going on in our schools. Kids are in knife fights, there are bomb threats, there are shooting threats, bullying on so many levels that parents are removing their children from your system at astounding rates. We have pure unadulterated porn in our schools, and a board member finds it an utter waste of time to investigate it. We have an ex-teacher on our school campuses who has shown and was convicted for showing his penis to another student. That
So
would be-
Diana, I'm going to interrupt you and remind you of the expectations for decorum in the room, okay?
Okay,
There were
I'm also
two-
going to
no,
remind you
hold
of
on,
my First
Hold
Amendment
on,
right.
please. There were 2 instances of words that you said that are not going to be appropriate for children. If you would please keep it clean, I will be more than happy to allow you to finish your time, okay? Okay, then you can leave. No, ma'am, you're not. Deputies, if you would please assist her in exiting, we would appreciate it. All right, the board wishes to thank the speakers from this evening. Is there any additional business from the board?
I think Mr. Google wanted to address the gentleman who wanted to go to eat. I thought we were under the impression that we were allowed to go eat with our kids.
I know, and that is, I believe, part of our security. I think that was part of our security audit. Dr. Mullins, did you want to
Can I
speak to
ask a
that?
quick question? So if they sign up under the volunteer, would that allow them to eat with their child? I mean,
Our volunteers are asked to have planned and purposeful reasons for being on campus.
okay.
So no, that would not constitute them to have lunch with their students. We continue to review it. If the board recalls, that was a measure was put in place due to the COVID situation, but it has remained extraordinarily difficult to provide the supervision and staffing to do that, given our current employment circumstances and challenges across our district, and to support our principals, meeting the supervisory responsibilities we have, continued to not permit that particular practice in our schools. We'll continue to revisit it as we have the opportunity. We certainly want our parents at our schools. We welcome and want our volunteers to come in and be part of I would remind our parents that our media centers are without media assistants, and we would love for our parents to work with our schools to be a part of working in the media centers, to be part of our school environments on a regular basis. So they simply need to reach out to the school. And we have right now, I'd remind our parents and our community that if you are not a volunteer, we have a no-cost process for becoming a volunteer to do the background screening as well. That's paid for through the ESSER grants. So we're trying to promote volunteerism.
I would say that in all my research that I've ever had, there's never been a situation where a parent has come on to eat lunch with their kid and something, you know what I mean? So I would like to reevaluate that. But just going forward as a school board member for the rest of the time that I'm here, I can't allow parents not to go eat with their kids. I mean, it's just like, that to me is a big deal, you know? So I understood that because of COVID, because of the protocols and stuff like that, and I appreciate your, Dr. Mullins, you thinking about the security of the children and everything else. I just don't know how much we get to a point where we're over security and we forget about the culture of the schools and who we're about. So I'd love to have a conversation about it going forward.
I actually just had a conversation with Dr. Mullins about that this morning. So we have a policy, and that's why our people who come in on campus as a visitor, not as a volunteer, because they have to have have to swipe their badge, they have to have a prearranged whatever a purpose for being there, right? Can't just swipe a badge and wander on campus, and have to be supervised at all times. And that's the part that has become the challenge during COVID, right? Because we had kids all over campus eating so they could spread out more. And then of course now with the staffing. So I've talked to Dr. Mullins and asked him, can we revisit that? We're pretty close to the end of the school year. I don't know if we can put it in place, but I'm hoping that we can put it in place for next school year.
Well, we still got a month and a half, right? I mean, like,
Month.
why don't we, it
Actually,
doesn't,
today, we're a month away from the last day of school.
but I mean, honestly, like, I just think we go at it, like, instead of kicking it down the can. So I'd like to bring it to talk about it next board meeting that we have in May. I mean, you're right, because even if we bring it forward, we're not going to make the change quick enough. But let's just start bringing it forward, because I think we should start that conversation. That's all
Guys,
I'm
if
thinking
we
about.
could cut out the audience comments so that we can make sure that everybody can hear the comments. All right, anything else before I gavel us out? All right, there being no further business, this meeting is now adjourned. Good evening. The April 12th, 2022 board meeting is now in order. I'm happy to welcome my fellow board members and the public. This is a business meeting of the board held in the public. As such, the board is authorized to adopt rules or policies to maintain orderly conduct and proper decorum in a public meeting. Please note that your presence here is subject to those rules and policies. Pursuant to Florida Statute 877.13, it is unlawful and a misdemeanor of the second degree, punishable by up to 60 days in jail and a $50 fine for any person knowingly to disrupt or interfere with the lawful administration or functions of any educational institution or school board, or knowingly to advise, counsel, or instruct any school pupil or school employee to disrupt any school or school board function or activity on school board property. To facilitate board business, please be aware of the following. If you must leave the building for any reason, you will not be permitted to re-enter. The appropriate place for public participation in the meeting is during your individual public comment opportunity as identified in the agenda. Outside of your individual public comment opportunity, your role in the meeting is as an observer. I will ask persons deemed to be knowingly or intentionally disrupting this meeting of the School Board of Brevard County or not complying with policy to stop or leave. If persons receiving the warning choose not to follow my instructions, I will instruct Brevard County Sheriff's deputies to take any law enforcement action they deem appropriate, and you may be escorted, detained, or arrested depending on the conduct. Persons who refuse to depart after a warning may also be committing the crime of trespassing in accordance with Florida Statute Section 810.05. These statutes apply to conduct on all school board property, which includes this boardroom, as well as the outside of this building to the sidewalk. If you continue to cause a disruption, you are advised that you are in violation of Florida State Statute 877.13, or if you fail to leave the premises after being warned by the Sheriff's Office, you are committing trespass, and the board has authorized the Sheriff's Office to enforce these rules. In the event multiple individuals fail to adhere to these expectations and board business cannot continue due to disruption, I will call a recess and request that the law enforcement officers present clear the boardroom of attendees. When the room is cleared, the board will return and resume their meeting with no public present. Those who are signed up to speak will be seated under the front entry area and called in when it is your time to speak. Mr. Gibbs, roll call, please.
Ms. Belford,
Present.
Ms. McDougall,
Present.
Ms. Jenkins,
Present.
Ms. Campbell,
Present.
Mr. Susan.
The board will now hold a moment of silent reflection in memory of two BPS family members, Elizabeth Rosado and Melanie Sheffield, who recently passed away. Ms. Rosado was a bus driver for Mid-South Transportation, and Ms. Sheffield was a VPK IA at Riviera Elementary. Thank you. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we are at the board superintendent recognition portion of the agenda. Tonight, I'm going to begin with Dr. Mullins, who has some exciting news to share. Dr. Mullins.
Good evening. Thank you, Mrs. Belford, and welcome this evening. We have a full house, and it's an exciting evening as we recognize some amazing scholars and their accomplishments. I am extremely honored and proud to present this evening's recognition in honor of our Brevard Public Schools academic team, Team Brevard. And for those of you who are not familiar with the academic team, it's actually an academic trivia competition. It's literally Jeopardy on steroids. Alex Trebek would be proud. Our students compete against first among students in Brevard, but then across the state, and they buzz in their answers to questions. So the subjects involved are English, which include grammar and literature, mathematics, all levels from algebra to differential equations, biology, chemistry, physics, all areas and subjects of social studies, the arts, culture, music history, music theory, world languages, and humanities. And as such, it is not just about academic intelligence. It requires the students to have an extremely fast academic recall memory, as well as the confidence to respond quickly and accurately. You should see them at the tables. I pride myself as a math teacher. I could do myself a little bit of calculus back in the day. These kids would blow me away on my best day. So this group of phenomenal students that we have here this evening were absolutely phenomenal at state competition. They began their academic team journey competing for first their individual schools. Some schools even had in-house scrimmages where the academic team of students would compete against teachers and administration. I heard that the students actually were kind of shown up by the academic fact. Oh, no. Someone at the table said usually the teachers win. Oh, you shut them down. That's right. Edgewood's faculty team was called the Jedi Masters, right? Yeah, the Padawans took the night. Oh, okay. Well, your JV team has a lot to aspire to, for sure. So, Brevard's district final academic team was absolutely amazing. I got to see them in action as they were competing for district recognition, and our group of 8 students earned a place on Team Brevard, and then they progressed to the state academic tournament where they were a force. And I heard that you competed so well in the first round that you got a bye for the next couple competition. They earned their place in the semifinal match, which led them to the final round for state competition. So Team Brevard demonstrated intellectual precision as well as patience as they competed against students from across the state of Florida. After 8 practice sessions total and 7 district matches, including the final, Team Brevard placed first in the state with a total 262 points in front of Manatee, Polk, Orange, Pinellas, and Seminole counties. And these extraordinary students worked so amazingly together as they became a family, and we got to hang out with them for a little while before the board meeting, and the camaraderie and the friendship and the celebration so these students represent multiple schools. Let me introduce them. So when I call your name, would you please stand up so we can all recognize you? First, Jack Baptiste from West Shore, known for his knowledge of history and humanities. Is Jack here? Okay. Jack, we hope you're watching out there. Congratulations. Let's give him a round of applause for this. And Phoenix Boggs from Edgewood, also Edgewood, and known for her specialty in linguistics. And next we have Nikhil Iyer. Did I get your first name right? Okay. From Edgewood, and he is known for his understanding in math, science, computer science, and music theory. And I think you're going to UF to study computer science. Did I get that right? All right, congratulations. I should have noted that Phoenix is planning to go to Yale. Did I get that right? Awesome. Tommy Tibbetts from Cocoa Beach, known for his specialty in English and literature. Congratulations, Tommy. And next we have Giancarlo Valdivia. Did I do okay? You're being very kind, I can tell. From Holy Trinity, known for his knowledge in math, music, and Spanish. Congratulations. We have John Wang from Edgewood, known for his mastery in math, art, literature, and psychology. Congratulations. And Abby Shepard, there she is, Team Brevard Student Observer Manager, also from Edgewood, who excelled in the humanities as well as biology. Congratulations, Abby. And we also have Nate Horton, Team Brevard's alternate, who attended every Team Brevard practice from Cocoa Beach, who soared in math and chemistry. Congratulations. So before I introduce their amazing coaches, I just want to put into context the accomplishment. So if you're having a hard time seeing me around the big trophy, that's because this is the trophy they brought home to Brevard from the competition. They received a cash award. They also will receive state championship rings for accomplishing it. And you can tell that they are all well on their way to great accomplishments after high school. We are so very proud of you. Thank you for representing your schools as well as our community with the excellence that we strive for, and we're so very proud of you. So now it goes without saying that these students couldn't do what they have done without amazing coaches who provided guidance and support every step of the way. And the students from Team Brevard will tell you that this recognition could not be possible without their phenomenal teachers. So would you please join me in recognizing Mr. Sean Johnston? Mr. Johnston is from Edgewood Junior Senior High, and Mr. Mike Prince from Cocoa Beach. And Mr. Prince confirmed that Brevard has not won a state academic team championship since 2009. Is that right? And were you a coach for the academic team back then? Look at that. We got a two-time champion in the house. So, coaches, thank you for the extra time and effort and your commitment to serve and support our kids and help them find their way to this amazing place. We appreciate you, and we know that they couldn't have gotten to where they did without your continued support along the way. And to all of our coaches at our other high schools who worked with our kids along the way, we are so grateful for all of your hard work and investment in Brevard's future. So congratulations again. I want to give a moment. Phoenix is going to come up. I put her on the spot. She's going to say a few words, and then we're going to have photo op. So Phoenix, it's all yours.
Yep.
You can speak right there.
Okay. So I and the team really wanted to just say a few words in appreciation of all of the support that we received on behalf of the district. I think that, and we all know that without the support of the district, providing us a circuit in which to compete to hone our skills within the Brevard system, also providing us with space to practice, providing us with financial support that we needed in order to actually go to this competition, made an absolute world of difference. And we know that this championship, and also that all of our other individual accomplishments that we've achieved throughout this academic team journey absolutely would not have been possible without all of your support. So we deeply thank you guys. And we actually put those words into a letter that we all signed. So I don't know where to put this, but we just really want to express our appreciation for all the support that we've received.
Well, you're welcome. And this is the best parts of the job for sure. So before we have our winning team come up for a picture, I also want to take this moment to recognize amazing leadership, because we know it's leadership in our schools that empower our teachers to do what they do, and it sets the culture, the bar of expectation and excellence across the entire school to set students up for success like this. First, Miss Jackie Ingrata, the principal of Edgewood Junior Senior High. Come on, Miss Ingrata, you got to stand up. And Dr. Mark Rendell, principal of Cocoa Beach Junior Senior High. And so I invite the board to come out front for a picture with our championship team. And then in a moment, we'll have parents come up and join for a photo op, but principals, can we have you as well, please?
Five and 10.
All the good
I noticed that you got on to the meeting.
Use it. No. Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. So, Madam Chair, if I may ask for one more point of privilege to, I know, I got to get in front of Mr. Susan, who knows how many recognitions he'll have. I do have a